What I'd like to do now is invite each of the candidates in turn to appeal for your vote on Saturday.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's enough room in Parliament for various parties, including the Greens. We need the Greens there to look after the environment. But when it comes to the issues of looking after our elderly, housing for our young families, jobs for our young, we need somebody like the Palmer United Party. The major parties have completely lost touch with the average person. We need to start creating jobs, and the Palmer United Party will do that. We will start downstream processing. Instead of sending our iron ore overseas as a raw product, selling it for $100 to $150 a tonne, we can process it here and sell it for $25,000 a tonne. In Japan, the price of electricity is twice as much as it is here in Australia, and wages are also higher. So there's no reason why we can't produce this first-class steel here in Australia. With housing, as I said before, we have to build houses, not just for low-income families to rent. We have to give them something that they can have as their own castle. But my passion is jobs. I've employed a lot of people in my business. I know what employers want. They want apprentices and they want people. With apprentices, they don't need the incentives, but what we could do is, instead of paying a young person $200 a week to sit at home watching television and playing computer games, that $200 could be channeled to an employer. The employer could top it up with an extra $100, meaning that young chap, 15, 16-year-old, will earn $300 a week while he's learning a worthwhile trade, a trade that will feed him and his family for the rest of his life. It will give him some purpose, it will give him something to strive for. So please consider that when you go to the voting booths on Saturday.
I've been shouted down a lot tonight, so I don't think I'm going to get a lot of votes here tonight. But anyway, I'd just like to urge everybody, don't vote for a major party. Don't vote for a major party. We need to break from it. I can't stress it enough. Both these parties have sold us out to the multinationals. They're continually doing it, and you people are re-electing them each time. And this country, this federal election, we've been set up between two beasts, Rudd and Abbott. You know, which is the more evil one? I don't know. But when I looked at Tony Abbott and Kevin Rudd having that debate, there was no leadership, no solutions. It was only when I watched Bob Catter, Clive Palmer, those two Australians coming together, seeing that Liberal and Labor are just doing the same thing year after year. It's just a game to Liberal and Labor. They don't care about you. They couldn't care less about you. It's a game to them. They just want to get re-elected, money. They can buy investment properties. Colin Barnett's got an investment property in Tujo, near where my parents have got. He's got probably 3 or 4 investment properties, and these career politicians, Liberal and Labor, it's the same game with them, and you people are re-electing them. But what I'm all about is what we need to do is get a national bank of credit going. I have not heard Liberal or Labor, Nationals or Greens, which are the political establishment of Australia. These 4 parties are supposed to be the leading parties in Australia. They're not talking about a national bank of credit. They're not talking about a national bank of credit getting Aboriginal people out of their poverty, because we need to get, the government needs to create the credit in order to provide the industry, agriculture, and to build the infrastructure projects like dams, railways, power plants. That's what I'm about. So thank you very much, and I hope that if you're not going to vote for me, at least give me your second preference. Thank you.
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank you for your time and going down on this horrible night. With the Australian Sex Party, again, you are voting for our civil liberties, and that's the biggest thing that we're pushing forwards. There are a lot of things that we don't know for certain, but we will find them out, and we definitely have, we're going to find out for real, not for just like for pretend. We will actually look into things properly. But, you know, that's the whole thing. We are looking at civil liberties, and basing our campaign on that. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Likewise, I'd like to thank everyone for coming down. It's fantastic to see so many people here on a weeknight. I'd like to ask two things. One is the Greens. We have 150 costed policies this election. I haven't been able to mention, barely any of them tonight. If you'd like to know anything else, go to the website, greenswa.net.au. You can find them all there. There's simple sort of 2 or 3 pages on every different topic. So find what interests you and check that out. And secondly, not only the lower house, obviously I'd like you to vote for me and your preferred party second, but I'd like you to think about the Senate in particular. At the moment, our Green Senator Scott Ludlam's up for re-election. If he loses his seat and Tony Abbott forms government, he could control both houses of Parliament. And our system wasn't really designed for one party to control the whole Parliament. So I'd really like you to think and consider voting Greens in the upper house for Scott Ludlam. He's done a lot of work on renewable energy, transport, sustainable housing, and it is so important to have that independent voice, checks and balances in the upper house to hold the other parties accountable. Thank you.
Here in Australia, we are fortunate enough to have a system where we can vote for who we want to, but still decide between the parties who actually are likely to form the next government. So remember that right that we have to use your numbering as much as you can. All that remains at this point is to thank our candidates who've given up their time in this busy last week of the election campaign to come here and be with us. So that's it for tonight. I encourage you to get out there and vote for who you actually want to be representing you on Saturday. Thank you very much. Good night.